Steele gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick in, here it comes. Swing and a miss. And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right? My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Welcome in to Feeding the Curse. One of the strangest weeks in the NFL, boys, and we'll talk about quite a bit of it. The Commanders did not lose because they did not play, so golf clap all around for them. But they did not stay out of the headlines, and I think I don't want to stick on the Commanders too much here, but I think we would be I think we have to talk about Montez Sweat's comments after the very, very bottom of the dump toilet Bears suddenly are pulling out wins. We already, I think, knew that Montez was the better all-around player than Chase. Chase maybe had the more upside and certainly the star power, given where he was drafted, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to, they're not here, so I don't want to, go too deep into this. We knew Montez was the better player. Chase now through however many weeks it's been with the 49ers, he's basically got one tackle in 5 games, I think, or something like that. I remember where I saw it. Montez has got 3 sacks or 4 sacks, I think, and playing the way we expected him to play. Frankly, the way he was playing here with the Skins, with the Commanders. And he had some interesting words. Matt, FB, you got to correct me on the pronunciation of Eberflus' last name. Yeah, right. This guy was dead man walking coming into DC. They came in here, they wrecked the Commanders on Thursday night, rejuvenated the team, saved his job. I mean, he was set to be fired with a loss on that Friday morning. Instead, they're a very strange team. They are in great draft position. Going into the last couple of weeks, I think all of us, if asked, push come to shove, are you going to double down on Fields, or are you going to use one of your top 4 first-round picks on a quarterback? I think most of us are going to roll the dice and say, thank you, no thank you, Fields. Similar to what happened with Trubisky, you kind of keep rolling the dice until you get your guy. But he can play. He can play. And the team is responsive to the coach. And Montez actually, I give him credit for just saying the words into a hot mic. It wasn't even a hot mic. It was in front of him, and he just said, This team has stuck together. It's different than what I experienced at the last place I was at. And you quietly look at the Bears, they make adjustments maybe better than most of the worst teams or bad teams in the league. DJ Moore had no targets in the first half. He had 10 in the second. Fields can clearly run, but he's got a cannon for an arm too. So it's the Bears are an interesting team. But I want to talk about Montez Sweat's kind of comments here, FP. Were you surprised at all that he actually said what I think everyone was thinking? Or is this ultimately it's probably a nothing burger? But when you heard it nonetheless, what did you initially think?
I mean, the surprising part of it is in essence, what he's saying is the place where he was, aka here, they just wait for the season to end, right? But he left the Commanders 5 weeks ago. That's around the time where we beat the Patriots and fought hard for the Seahawks game. I mean, if we as a team were just waiting for the season to end 5 weeks ago for Sweat to say something like that, it almost gives credit to the thought that the players, I'm not saying weren't trying hard all season, but I think they all knew this was a lame duck season with the coaching staff, and they were just like, let's just get through this season.
Do you think that was the case though after they start off 2-0? Some of that's fool's gold, right? The way they beat the Broncos.
Oh, but I'm not saying they weren't trying. No NFL player is going to go out there and put out fake credit in a game because game tape is real and contracts are real and all that stuff. But I think they I just don't think they really cared. I don't think they cared
once they lost
chemistry and locker room and the fight and the playoff. They just didn't care. They're just, let's just go out there, play to our best ability and move on. It was like a group that couldn't be motivated because they knew it doesn't matter at the end of the year.
Once they lost to the Bears, I'm sure the players knew, right? Like, we have a lame duck coach, and everything is going to be gutted at the end of the season. So
Yeah.
I don't know why people would be surprised by what he said. Like, the players are waiting for the season to end. That doesn't mean they're not going to play. That doesn't mean they're not going to.
I mean, it's
like they're
surprising
going to give
because
half effort.
it's the first
But
time somebody's come out essentially against Ron.
Chase said that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I mean,
Chase was talking about coaches, and
But it's also different because Chase went to a franchise that is on a different
Actually
trajectory,
good.
right? That's challenging for, frankly, they're the best team in the league. I think
Challenging
anything
for the
against
one
them,
seed,
not
yeah.
at 1 or maybe 2. I think you're not watching the same sport I am.
but he's also Montez is also talking about a team that just paid him $100 million. Like, if someone pays you $100 million, you're not going to take a week and start saying, "Oh yeah, it's just like it is over there in crummy Washington."
But you can give credit to the coach of the current team you're on without necessarily taking a shot.
yeah.
He could have just said, "Hey, like I'm really like this team sticks together. We fight hard," and just kind of stop, right? But he took it a step further to say it's different than where I came from, right? And I think that's where kind of the spidey senses kind of popped up, and they're like, "Ooh, like he had some things to say, maybe in a longer form interview, or maybe on the off season, or maybe on like some podcast or something. Maybe he says a little bit more, but I just didn't expect him to say it publicly and kind of challenge Ron, right? Like Ron did draft him, right? If I'm not mistaken, or was that not a Ron pick? No, actually, it's not a Ron pick.
I don't think it was a Ron pick.
It wasn't a Ron pick. So it was.
Because we traded back into the year of Haskins. So
it was a year.
it was
2 years.
J-pick.
It was a year before.
Thank you. So it's his time had come to an end here. I do wish he was still on the team, but frankly, the defense. I mean, they are statistically worse without Chase and without Montez, but that was bound to happen anyway, right? Like I think again, the Commanders. I don't want to talk about them much longer than we have already, given that they didn't play and they're really not relevant. It
was the best bye week they could have had. Because every team that was hovering around them
everywhere, upsets everywhere.
You had the Bears, the Giants,
winners,
the Titans,
winners,
and somebody else.
Falcons.
The Falcons.
Yeah, with the exception of the Panthers, who got wrecked on the road in New Orleans. The Panthers, I think, are locked into that worst position, but that pick is going to the Bears anyway. Like
no, the Jets. Sorry, all 4 of those teams that were sitting at 4-8. Won. So we're sitting solely at the 4th position in the draft at 4-9.
Yes, and the
best thing that could have happened to us.
Yes, and the Giants, they would have tiebreakers against the Commanders. The Bears would too, right? Because of those wins. So like there's some padding in those statistics as well. But like it's such loser talk. I'm annoyed just talking about like we're putting a lot of trust into the inbound GM, the inbound head coach, the inbound personnel folks, and the ownership group. And FP, we talked about this a little bit last week. LP, I'd love to get your thoughts on this too. The ownership group raising ticket prices to me seems completely premature. I would say, to say it as politely as possible. I'm actually really surprised that this is the move they're going to make this offseason, is to jack up ticket prices. Like the stadium is still a dump. That's not the fans' problem. That's not the fans' fault. Like you bought it the way it is. Wouldn't you prefer that they cut ticket prices and get actual fans in the building?
Well, when you need 700 different millionaires to come together to make an ownership group, nobody's gonna dish out the money right off the bat to improve the stadium, to change the team.
They did. He put in 50 million or something like that.
Great, already. But I mean, that 50 million does nothing for an NFL stadium.
Yeah, but they're also gloating about sellouts. Like I think there's like 5 or 6 sellouts already.
I'm not saying it was a good move. I'm just saying it's not surprising. I mean, even everybody from the Sixers, like they're on record saying this is what Harris does. Harris cares about making money. He's going to raise the ticket prices. I mean, they're on record saying
it's a fraction.
What's an average ticket price now? I mean, we're talking like
there's some
we've been to a whole bunch of
some reports the season ticket renews were like $10,000 more, $7,000 to $10,000 more. That's insane.
That's a lot for a team that hasn't like they haven't earned it. And a sellout. All sellouts are not equal. Okay, when the Dolphins take over your building, you sold it out, but maybe don't take the victory lap on. So like maybe just sit that one out.
I mean, up the road,
but that's what's happened every week. Except maybe week 1.
Yeah,
right? It's always been a sellout with the other team.
but that's not the same, right? A Ravens sellout or a Seahawks sellout is not the same as a Commanders sellout. It's just not, right? Like we as fans of the team are dwindling in numbers as it is. You got to find a way. That's why I think ultimately when they move to FedEx or move FedEx and back to RFK or whatever they end up doing from a stadium perspective, like they can't at the time. Dan, or I guess it was before him. What's his face? Jack Hancock was building or talking about Raleigh, John, Maryland, and FedEx Field. The fan base could fill an 80,000 person stadium. Okay, you might be able to get 30,000 diehards into Audi Field. Like, that's the right size venue right now if you just want Commanders fans to be there. And I think the game day experience would be much better for fans in a smaller venue. And honestly, like with the talk this week now, FP, I wanted to bring this up with you too, kind of related, but kind of not. The Capitals and the Capitals and the Wizards potentially talking about moving to Alexandria, Virginia, or just out of Chinatown in DC. You know, Ted has an out in 4 years. Like he can buy his way out of that building lease in 4 years. I mean, he's got to consider it. He's got to.
It's not going to happen. It's a nothing burger. He's holding
no,
the city hostage.
It comes down to money.
I think
it could.
If the city doesn't pony up some cash, they're going to lose. Yeah. They're going to lose both of these franchises and all the stuff that comes with a professional.
Yeah, 100%. No,
it's the end. But Chinatown will do you guys even remember? We're old enough to remember. Do you remember what Chinatown used to be in that area? Like it was like 10 blocks of. It was nowhere you want it to be, right? And
it's becoming that way again. And I think the crime is one of. I mean, obviously they want to do arena improvements and all that stuff, but the crime in DC and Chinatown is terrible.
Sure.
It's back on the rise. DC Rising has a whole new meaning now.
The only kind of play I think in Mayor Bowser's bag right now would be like if they try to that could that be a venue for an NFL team? I don't think so. I just don't think you can get it. You can't expand enough, right? So what do you do with the Capital One Center if it's not?
No venue can survive off concerts alone, right? So you're not going to sell that out at all. I mean,
especially if there's a new arena right across the river.
But by the numbers, right? Ted is on record saying that he's paying 13 to 15 million annually for rent, whereas most other teams are paying. Most other teams in similar situations where they're renting a building owned by a municipality, they're paying around 3 to 4 million. Right, like he's asking for 600 million. The city has to come up with that money because they can't afford to lose his business. It's business.
He has all the leverage in this. But
he's also seeing Virginia, Maryland, Washington, the Commanders, right, and how much money all three are throwing at the team now.
But then why not?
He's got the leverage.
But then, if you're gonna do something crazy, why not build the super sportsplex then, right? On the site of where RFK is now. Some other cities have this. Cincinnati has this. Pittsburgh has this.
Because he would be an idiot to join in with anything Commanders related.
No, I'm saying from the city's perspective. Why not pitch keeping them all in the city, but moving them all, maybe closer to the highway? I don't know. But again, you if you're DC, you end up with a building in the heart of Chinatown that you can't do anything with. What are you gonna do with it? You have to take it down and build more condos. I don't know what you do with it. So it's an interesting little twist. I mean, he's got 4 years that he can buy him. He can buy his way out for 30 million or 35 million in 4 years. And if he's got a place to go, Potomac Yards doesn't make any sense. Is it Potomac Yards in Alexandria?
Potomac Yard.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you look on the map, it's not that far. It's not like downtown, Old Town Alexandria or any of those places. It's pretty close to DCA.
I mean, traffic I would argue would be worse than it is now just in DC. DC, you've got parking kind of built in all these office buildings. And I've heard it said before, if you want to fix some of the problems DC's facing right now, people just got to go back to work. I know everybody wants to be flexible, work from home, whatever. We all want that, right? But a couple days in the office means that the random coffee shops and the restaurants and all that stuff stays busy. Then the city can then afford, right? It's all revenue at the end of it, right? There's revenue there. You can pay.
Or just fix the crime and make it not a terrible place to be in. Keep the
I mean, the
metro open
carjackings are
late.
ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, even over by Nats Park, right, where they have housing for like the dormitories and stuff for like the congressmen. Like people are getting carjacked there too. Like but crime is not a DC specific problem right now, right? It's kind of everywhere. I mean, it's not a DC specific thing, but
I mean, DC just has a little bit of every problem, right? Expensive,
yes,
transient,
yes,
terrible public transportation,
yes.
high crime,
Also bad
wavering
teams.
fan base. Yeah, it's just
Bad teams adds to it as well.
yeah.
Like, and if you do lose these teams, like what stops the Nats from eventually leaving to like I don't know. Like it would be interesting if you polled fans at a Caps game. I think the vast majority would say they are commuting from Virginia. I think if you polled the same, the attendees at a Wizards game, I think you're going to get a more DC Maryland mix. Again, with the Nats, I think if you poll the Nats fans, you're going to get predominantly Virginia fans. And then you do the Commanders bit, right? Like most Commanders fans reside in Virginia. It's just how it is. So
I mean, at least for the Caps, they're pretty central. I mean, there's no other hockey team remotely close.
And they've been trying to like build some allegiance or some, doing more stuff in the Baltimore area to get folks down. Like I'm just saying it's an interesting thing for us as like DC natives and DC fans to kind of follow. But there's also the land problem. Like, I don't know where you get, like, Virginia has money, obviously, to give potentially or to work with an owner to move a team. But I think if you could have the Commanders or the Caps and Wiz, I think you're going for the Commanders 10 times out of 10, right? So
is there enough land in Potomac Yard for a football stadium?
No. You'd have to take down buildings that are less than 10 years old. You'd be talking about buying out There's no way. That's why when they were talking Commanders, they were talking Woodbridge, Nokesville, like further south,
or back in the quarries in Loudon.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's switch here. I want to go around the NFL. There's a lot that happened this week. Upsets galore everywhere. It was a bad fantasy week too, but nobody cares about anyone else's fantasy team. But starting on Thursday, we got an actual game on Thursday night. Nobody was expecting it, but the Patriots and Steelers. Nobody's expecting the Patriots to win. We talked about them briefly at the jump. Worst teams in the league. I got Panthers, Cardinals, Patriots, and Commanders, and you pick your order. I think the Panthers are far and away the worst. I think Cardinals probably have a better roster than the Commanders right now, top to bottom. At least there's room there, although the Commanders will have they'll have a big war chest going into the offseason. And the Patriots just look really bad, but they did win on Thursday, but there was upsets everywhere. I'll tell you the two games for me, and we can talk about all of them if you want, but the Rams, I was on the record last week saying, like, I am really, really excited to see what the Rams do down the stretch. They played a very, very tough game against the Ravens in Baltimore in less than ideal weather. They end up losing that game 37-31 in overtime, but Stafford can sling the ball. He is still able to get the ball to any receiver anywhere on the field at any time, and they can score. I think the Rams are going to be an interesting team down the stretch. They've got winnable games on the schedule.
They become scary if they get into the playoffs.
They can play, right? And Stafford, I know he's one of the older, quarterbacks in the league, but look at what Flacco's doing with the Browns, right? And that's a crazy story in and of itself. We can pivot and talk about that if you want, but the Rams really, really surprised me with how well they played the Ravens. It was a high-scoring affair. Didn't expect the Ravens to give up that many points. But I think if you're a Rams fan, you're encouraged even in a loss with that one.
100%. And I think it speaks more to kind of the magic of McVay, where I think for a while there, people thought he may have lost his boy genius kind of magic, and then suddenly they're surging again. And it all rides on Stafford's health or whatever, but when you have Kupp and Puka and all those guys that are just consistently finding a way to make big plays against a stout defense like the Ravens, it's just night and day. I mean, you go back to the bottom teams, night and day between the top of the league or the competitive teams or the well-coached teams to kind of the terrible teams. And honestly, the Commanders are probably second worst team in the league at this point. I would put the Cardinals, the Patriots, all of them over the Commanders except the Panthers, just because they're as dysfunctional as we are when it comes to quarterback
The
movement.
Panthers are in a worse spot. They're
They're in a
paying
worse
four
spot.
they're paying 4 different coaches.
But
to get
I would say we're easily the 31st team in the NFL right now.
Do you guys see Aaron Donald getting like quadruple teamed
Yeah.
over and over again?
yes.
Jonathan Allen needs
Yes.
to shut up forever.
Yeah. You're not even getting double teamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Baltimore has got to be probably the best team in the league right now, right? And the Rams gave it to them.
I got him at 3. I got him at 3.
I would
Who do you
give
have
him
over
2.
him?
I got 49ers at 1, and I
Yes.
think the delta between the 49ers and the Cowboys, whom I have at 2,
No.
it's not that big. I really like
I'll
what
give
the
you
Cowboys-
Niners. Yeah, I mean, Cowboys look good.
The Niners smacked the Cowboys when they played. They're not up there.
Well, the
They're not
Cowboys
up
handled their well. We're going to talk about these other NFC teams, but just to answer LP's question, I got Niners, Cowboys, Ravens, Dolphins, Lions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I'm down on the Chiefs. I'm down on the Jags.
Either way, right? They're a top 3 team. I think there's zero debate about that. And the Rams hung there, right, toe to toe with them on a 500 team.
Yes,
I mean,
and Lamar did Lamar things, and say what you want about OBJ, but he can get open and he can catch the ball. He's not going to outrun anybody, but he can catch the ball, and he does it consistently now every week. I mean, they're built for playoff football, like the Ravens.
open wound. I had him on my bench.
Yeah, they can play. The Jets. I mean, the Jets are obviously we're all on A-Rod watch here. FP is very excited about the storyline potential of Rodgers making literally the most bizarre, miraculous, unheard of, ridiculous.
He will throw for 4 touchdowns against.
Wait, but
us.
hold on. That is ridiculous. But also, Trevor Lawrence, high ankle sprain. Doesn't
he
even.
shouldn't
That
have
doesn't
played.
make sense.
The Jags looked bad. He looked bad. He shouldn't have played. That's my.
He didn't
that's
look
my-
that bad though.
No, he didn't. Those interceptions.
I didn't see him, but I saw the stat line.
The
Two
interceptions.
picks, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, underthrown on several passes, especially to the sidelines. The picks were bad. He didn't. I mean, yeah, it's impressive, right? What he did, but he didn't have his leg, fall off the way Aaron did. And FP, I know you're excited about it, but if Aaron Rodgers suits up for the Jets against the Commanders, I don't think he'll get 4 touchdowns. But the fact that he takes NFL game speed reps, like real live action, live bullets, it's ridiculous. And I don't know why they do it, because they can't. The Jets aren't challenging for anything at this point. Are they still alive? I don't think so.
I mean, they're technically not eliminated.
Yeah, but what are you coming back for? Like maybe you get a couple here and there. I mean, I didn't expect the Texans to not find the end zone. Like that was also bizarre, right? Like,
I mean, really, if you look at the AFC playoff picture, it's wide open. There's so many teams clustered in the middle. 2 games makes all the difference. I mean, even the NFC picture. I mean, we're 4 games away. If we lose out, we could potentially get the number 2 pick in the draft. But if we win out, we could be in the wild card. It's insane.
We are 2 games out of the wild card.
We're 2 games out of the wild card. What I'm saying is,
but so is
it's
the
not
rest
going to
of the
happen.
league.
But what I'm saying is,
so is the rest of the NFC. Yeah.
It's insanity in the league. So if you have an Aaron Rodgers, if Zach Wilson plays the way Zach Wilson played this past Sunday and throws up 2 tutties and 300 again, and the Jets are suddenly cruising, A, the question needs to be asked, why would you interrupt that and bring in Rodgers? But B, it would be, if he really is healed, if he really could come back and compete, especially against a JV defense like the Commanders.
Yeah, if you're gonna line them up,
right,
you suit up. This is the team you want to suit up.
Right, and it could be a very impactful game for the Jets' playoff hopes if they make.
It's interesting.
I think they'll be out by then, though.
But they
might not be.
They could also just roll him out for like a series, score once or twice, and then pull him, and have Zach carry the mantle. Like,
would it surprise anybody that Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen can't get pressure on a 40-year-old QB with one leg?
I don't want to go that far. I mean, but it would also suck if they're the guys that end his career, right? Like, I don't want to see that either, right? Like, I don't know what you do. Like, do you go up to him before the game and say, like, hey, I'm sorry in advance if we pancake you and your career ends because you're playing when you shouldn't be playing? I don't know what you do in that situation.
I mean, he's probably going to be high off his guarana chakra spiritual psychedelics. He's not even going to know who's talking to him.
I'm annoyed at him and the story on him. Like, come back or don't come back. Be vaxxed or don't be vaxxed. We don't care anymore. Like either play football or don't.
Well, I think he wants to. I think it's.
I know,
you got to
but
protect him from himself, kind of. Because this defense is good enough that if you just fast forward to the last week of August, in 2024, right, as we're getting ready for the kickoff of next football season, if they do nothing except bring Aaron Rodgers back into the fold as the starting QB,
6 more wins than they have currently.
they're a contender. Absolutely, the defense is that good. And they won't re-sign Dalvin Cook. Like they'll make some changes on the offensive side if they can get another receiver. But Randall Cobb is 900 years old. He's still him and Jimmy Graham I literally have been in the league for 20 years each.
Well, they could do something crazy. They could bring in a Mike Evans and then spend the entire draft bolstering the offensive line.
Yeah,
and if Aaron Rodgers truly is MVP,
but they're
Aaron
the
Rodgers,
Jets. They're never good. They're the Jets.
But they could be.
They're a better team than the Commanders.
I know, but
and Evans is
hands down
because Evans.
They're the
Evans
Jets.
had a very un-Evansy game this past weekend, but he's still getting it done too. He's 10 seasons over 1,000 yards is awesome.
I mentioned it in one of our chats, either the LP only chat or the DTT chat. I don't know. I would take hands down the assistant GM for the Jets because they have drafted and built a phenomenal team to the point where they won the bidding contest to bring in Aaron Rodgers. So that front office for the Jets, Think about the defense.
You want the Bucks guy because they had enough people there that Brady wanted to go.
No. Joe, think about the drafting. Think about the drafting, right? They built a great defense, number 1 corner shutdown defense in the league, way better defensive line. Breece Hall.
Talk about Sauce is your super stud.
He's the number 1 corner in the league.
I know. I saw some commander guy. Which one of the commanders leads the league in breakups? It was
BSJ.
Nobody.
No. It was all over. It was all over Commander's Twitter.
Pro Football Focus is trash.
Different problem.
There's no way. I don't believe it. You gotta.
Yeah. It's number one in pass breakups or something.
I'm pretty sure it's BSJ.
I think so too.
But he's also number 1 in drawing a DPI, so it makes no sense. But the point is, I would take somebody that has been on a team that built a very strong roster. What I really want would be somebody from the Niners or the Ravens or
the Eagles.
Yeah.
Weaken our opponents.
Yeah, but
I want Howie Roseman's assistant. I mean, that's whoever it is.
Yeah, or anybody from the Niners.
I'll tell you who I don't want: Marty, or Ron,
or Bill.
I don't want Bill either.
Or Tomlin.
And I'm out on Ben Johnson as coordinator.
I'm out on Tomlin. Tomlin. First of all, he's not leaving. He's not going to be let go.
You can't be out on Tomlin.
I'm not in on Tomlin.
Well, no, the only way that they could get Tomlin is through a trade.
Tomlin,
which has happened before.
Tomlin's a fantastic coach.
Yeah.
I mean, is John Gruden not an option anymore? He's because of emails from a decade ago. He's no longer. He's there.
I don't want anybody brought into this team that has any sort of Washington Post article written about them.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Okay, that's fair. But
There's
I think
too much drama around it.
The guy that has constructed the current Texans team also deserves some love. Then, right? Coach, excellent. Offensive coordinator, excellent. Drafting, going like the sack on that guy to go from Davis Mills, who was looking like a promising quarterback, to like rolling the dice again and saying, "Hey, give me CJ instead." Like I think Texans have done a good job too.
You need to give me, and this kind of removes my entire argument about the Jets. I want somebody from the front office of a team that has won consistently over the last decade, not suddenly.
Now you're down to like 4 teams,
and now you're taking my approach. I need sustained success.
Sustained success from a front office aspect.
I mean, think about
exciting
how fast the Eagles rebuilds are.
It's not
think about how fast the Eagles rebuilds are.
Yeah, we're a cursed franchise. We don't get to do that here in DC. We are forever the punt. Every once in a while, the NFL script says, "All right, we'll throw the bone to the Commanders. They can finish first or second or respectable." But otherwise, how many we've had more 3-win and 4-win seasons than the rest of our division combined over the last 20 years. It's embarrassing how terrible we are. I think,
and the Giants have been terrible over the past decade.
Sometimes I think we are just like scent deaf to how terrible this team is.
No, fully believe it.
We just can't smell it because we're too close to it. But it's not the Redskins we cheered for in the late 90s. It's not the early Dan Snyder years. Like this
we
is
sucked in the late 90s
I don't like
too.
the term. I don't like the term poverty franchise. I know that's like that's what all the cool kids say these days. I don't like that term because like there's hardware here that matters, and there are players that have made like real impacts over a sustained period of time in the league. But like you're not creating a new generation of fans right now. Like you're just not doing it. You're building your current fans don't want to go to your games. So how are you going to get new fans? Like this is, I don't remember who said it, but this is like the Commanders are not rebuilding, right? They have to demolish the building. Like we're not adding additions, we're not beautifying, no cosmetic changes. Like this is not a flipper upper
No
situation.
more makeup on the pig. Just send the pig.
I don't know if I believe. I don't know if I take that. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's still pieces.
With the exception of Sam, who you have under a team favorable contract, everyone else can be traded. Everyone else.
I don't know if I'd go with that.
I'd rather go one and whatever. What did the Lions do
again?
The Lions. Hold on. The Lions won one game over the span of, or two games over the span of like 3 seasons or 2 seasons.
Both against Washington.
Yeah, exactly. The Bengals did it too. If you remember, they won like a London game or a tie. Like I want that. I want like I want to believe that the people in charge are willing to say we're going to stink for a year or two.
We did. That's what this year is.
No, we've bottomed out. We've bottomed out while trying to win. I want to bottom out while not trying to win.
So,
I
you
really
want
don't.
You want the
I really don't
DC
agree with
version
that.
of
I
the
think
process.
I think there's a tweaks that can be made.
No
there's
tweaks.
a coaching that can be made.
Oh, hold on, LP. Tweaks don't get you past the Eagles. Tweaks don't get you past the Cowboys. Tweaks don't even guarantee to make you competitive.
Why not?
The Giants.
I mean, we almost beat the Eagles twice this year. Why doesn't that get you past them?
Hold on. You guys gave me some. The Cowboys I have firmly at number 2 in my power rankings. Okay,
3. I'm giving them 3.
They don't even have arguably their second best defensive player on the field.
Say things like,
right? Like, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Like
no, you're right. You're right.
If Diggs is on the field for the last month and a half or 2 months, they're beating the Eagles twice. That means they are one lost team, right? And I don't like the revisionist stuff because I've said it before. I said it to Pete from Philly, right? Like the Commanders should have beat the Eagles twice as well. Like
the Eagles are frauds. Nobody cares.
I didn't want to get y'all worked up on the fraud.
They're frauds.
But like they definitely are struggling down the stretch here, and Hurts doesn't look 100%, but they don't belong in the top 5 in my opinion. Statistically, you can argue they're still better than the Dolphins. They're better than the Lions, but on any given week, the Lions, the Dolphins, the Ravens can go out and beat anyone.
Dolphins to me are like number 6.
I mean,
the Lions lost to the Bears and the Packers.
Lost to the Packers and the Bears.
Yeah. And the Packers lost to the Giants, and I'm out.
I actually told FP this yesterday. I think we sleep on how good of a GM Jerry Jones is. That team is always stacked. They are always stacked.
They also benefit.
They're always built the right way.
They also benefit from having fans everywhere throughout the country.
They benefit from their brand.
Yeah, but the truth is they don't really get blown out very often. I mean the Niners game this year maybe, but they are consistently a well-structured team.
Even when they have horrible coaches, which they do a lot, they still are actually a decent team. Like
I will.
They never bottom out. Yeah, they never.
I will never.
They drafted Dak in the 4th round, 3rd round.
Yeah.
After having Romo, and then they
had the stones to go to him and not go back to Romo. Like Romo was still very much a fan favorite. He was still beloved with the talking heads on TV. Like that shift was not.
It was a sudden, but that was a Jerry shift.
Well, and Jerry has proven over, like Dan, as much as he wanted to be Jerry, he hadn't played the game. He hadn't been close enough to it. He's just fanboying it up, right? I mean, and Jerry, you could say what you want about the franchise. He knows what he's doing. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows how to market.
He cuts ties quickly. He got rid of Zeke quickly, Dez quickly. He doesn't retain the superstars out of.
And he does it, and it flies under the radar, right? Like we give Bill Belichick a lot of credit, and Kraft a lot of credit for doing the same thing, basically. Maybe because they're trading the players, like they traded Vince Wilfork, they traded like whatever. They traded for Randy Moss, then traded him back, like if I remember correctly as well. Like maybe Bill is more tactful in his approach, but yeah, I mean the Cowboys, if they're not number 2 on your list,
number three.
Who do you have above them?
Ravens. It goes Niners, Ravens. I'll give you Cowboys. I think you have to
Give me
you
anything.
have to go Eagles at 4.
Nah.
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about just pure talent on a
If the
regular
Lions
Sunday on the
the
regular
Lions
season?
played so
Or are we
right now
talking playoff Super Bowl?
the Eagles went from a first round bye to finishing to being in 5th place and having to potentially travel to Tampa Bay now to play if the playoffs started today. Are you picking the Eagles 10 times out of 10 or 9 times out of 10 to beat the Buccaneers in Tampa?
I am.
I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it with 90% certainty. No way. They're too leaky. They're too leaky.
Yeah, I agree.
They're too leaky in the
I
linebacker.
haven't watched the Bucks that closely, but it's still
Mike
Baker
Evans
Mayfield. It's still
Evans
Evans,
is miraculous.
what's his face? Godwin. Like these guys can still catch, and
that
they can take advantage of a soft zone, which is where the Eagles are more susceptible. We saw it again this weekend. So, like the Eagles, they have time, I think, to button this up a little bit and tighten up. I think they've got to. I mean, Pete said it perfectly last week or the week before. They are at their best when DeAndre Swift touches the ball 20 times. Like, I don't know why they keep getting away from it. They just got to run the ball, control the clock, go get a 2-touchdown lead, and force the other team to throw against you, and just kind of wink and gun your way, to the end of the game.
But none of those teams, Cowboys or Eagles, I don't think they put up a fight against the Niners or the Ravens. I just don't think it happens.
I think the Cowboys. I know they didn't fare well head to head, but I think the Cowboys are. I think they're better than we give them credit for. I really do.
Well, especially after this week, I would agree.
They beat they beat the Eagles twice. I know the score, the box score says something different, but they played them extremely tough in Philly, and they played them great. Obviously,
there's some tough schedules for all of these teams coming up. I mean, this is definitely the gauntlet of the season for the top teams.
Yeah,
in the
Eagles
league,
Eagles have an easier
surprising.
path the rest of the way.
Are we writing off Kansas City and Buffalo?
I'm done with Kansas City. I do want to talk. I mean, how do you feel about a ref not making a call at the end of the game if it's
no? He's a mile offside. You have to make that call. There's
I tried to find like the counter argument here, like it didn't impact the play, which it didn't. I don't believe it actually impacted the play that he lined up offsides, but
it doesn't matter.
I think.
Remember when Terry was called for not being on the line?
I know that was
that's last year Giants, and that's after checking with the ref.
The ref gave him the thumbs up, and then
Kadarius didn't check.
I mean, but listen, I know everybody's killing Kadarius Toney as he should be. Like, I wouldn't want to be him in the Chiefs locker room after that game or this week in general. But Patrick Mahomes should have seen that too. Like, he's not like, I know he's counting players and he's doing other stuff, but like you can see, like he's not at the end of the line. He's right next to your tackle. Like, he's right there
ahead of him.
Yeah, ahead of him. Like, you see it. You see it. Like, something is wrong there.
Yeah, he probably saw, but he's not going to call him out because then it would be illegal formation. You can't move.
Which is better? Move him?
I don't know, but did you guys see? I think we sent it in our group chat, but the meme of the car in the middle of the intersection, that's hilarious.
It doesn't belong on an NFL roster, right? Like, as far as I'm concerned, the reason I'm downgrading the Chiefs here, and I've been saying it for weeks now, outside of Rashee Rice, like, they don't have another pass catcher that can get like open 15 to 20 yards down the field.
It makes no sense to me why anybody would let Tyreek go. And you see it yesterday when Tyreek was on the field for the Dolphins, they were world champions. When he came off, they were susceptible to all defense and couldn't move the ball at all.
They're trying to build.
He
their
is
team.
the MVP of this league this year.
The Chiefs are trying to build their team like the Kraft and Belichick, Brady,
and they've got the right pieces. But listen,
but Brady took discounts. Brady didn't make the money he could have made.
And listen, I know Patrick Mahomes is a
tool,
not beloved. He can clearly play the position.
Yeah,
he's not going to go win you a game the way Brady was. Like,
he will, but he's also wearing.
He needs help.
He needs help. His personality is wearing on everybody, right? It started with the in the offseason, the documentary or whatever, quarterbacks.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone started. It's wearing on us, right?
I just
and
feel
the Swift thing.
The window.
Just too much.
The Kansas City Chiefs in general are exhausting.
Yeah, the window. I mean, and for me personally, as a Commanders fan, I can't keep looking at Arrowhead and the chop, and I just it annoys me every time I see it. But
I
look at that team and like they're gonna have to replace Kelsey. in the next season, right? Like he can still do what he's doing now, but he's not outrunning people, right? And he's already said like he's got maybe 1 or 2 left in him, right? So they're going to have to address multiple positions on that offense. They don't have a running back they can stick with. Like Andy Reid's got his work cut out for him to kind of rebuild this one on the fly while Mahomes is still doing Mahomesy things. But frankly, the defense also had looked better earlier in the season. They just look tired. They look. I suppose if you're like a hardcore like Bieniemy EB guy, could you then say like are some of the offensive struggles with the Chiefs this season? Can you attribute it to not having Bieniemy in the building? Is that too far of a stretch? Like if you were looking for a silver lining for Bieniemy being here in Washington, could you look at the Chiefs and say they're worse off without him? I think it's possible.
I mean, compared to like who do they have? Matt Nagy?
Nagy stinks.
Yeah, Matt Nagy stinks, but I just I'm completely out on EB. Like I love the guy. I don't think he was.
Clearly, you don't love him if you're out on him, but
I don't like I respect him as like a human, and he's. If you have somebody like Terry complaining about it, it's just.
That's got to go, right? And if, again, I think I said this on the last pod, right? Like, look at the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, or look at the Rams with Puka and Cooper. Yeah. Like, they target their number 1 receivers a lot. And in the EB offense, that ball is spread so thin that no one is targeted a lot. Now, I would argue that the most targeted position in an EB offense is the tight end.
And with the Chiefs, but with the Chiefs, they're still targeting their number 1 receiver. They just don't have a number 1 receiver. If they had anybody,
there was a lot of drops in that game.
Yeah, if they had anybody that was not even elite, but like a Terry level, they won 5 more games than they would have had right now.
They had, I think by my count, they had 5 or 6. I remember writing it down somewhere, like 6 big drops.
There's easily 4. I think there's 4 games single-handedly lost.
The Bills are also
touchdown winning catch.
I'm also. I think I'm out on the Bills too. Like I think they're like they can beat anybody on any given Sunday, but I'm not picking them definitively to go in and to. I wouldn't even pick them if they have to travel to play Cleveland in Cleveland. I'm not picking the Bills. No way.
They can turn it around, I think, faster than some of the other middle ground teams.
They can turn it on. I think
turn it on,
they can turn it on, right? But they've got their own issues to deal with. And the Browns to me are such an interesting team. What the
hell are they doing?
Flacco literally came in from his couch and looked. I mean, he could still throw a deep ball, boys. Like he can still sling it.
I know he's on the practice squad.
They demoted him again.
They demoted him. It's very yeah. I mean, they paid him more, but demoted him so that he wouldn't sign with another team. I think they're trying to.
But they did it after calling him the starter for the rest of the season.
After cutting PJ Walker. So who's the other quarterback on that team?
Well, I think they did it as a temp move. I think I expect him to be the starter this week.
Yes, he will be, but I just don't get it because.
I mean, what are you worried over? Like if they went to him and said, "Hey, we need to do this for personnel management," like are you really at risk of losing?
You know what I would do if I was a team playing the Browns this week? Hey Joe, I'm going to sign you for $5 million, and then I'm going to cut you again on Monday.
I don't.
That's fair. That's part
the
of
more I think about the Cleveland Browns, I think the madder I get at Ron Rivera, because if you truly had an amazing elite top of the league defense, it does not matter what trash you trot out on the offensive side of the ball.
It's an interesting, yeah.
It does not matter. You can look at defense is as strong as what the Browns
have. Look at the Bengals right now too.
Yeah,
the Bengals. I mean, it's FP playing quarterback over there,
basically.
And when you have a stud like a true quarterback proof number 1 wide receiver,
right,
you're gonna win games,
right.
Just get him the ball and get out of his way.
But even just if all our capital that we invested in that defense was used properly for the 4 years that we had them together,
I'll give you.
That's also the anomaly, right? The strong defense is the anomaly.
Well, look at the Ravens, literally since they moved to Baltimore.
Just this past week, look at what a average to above average quarterback can do with a stud, legitimate number 1 wide receiver. Look at DJ Moore.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at Jamar Chase and
Even Levis on the
Browning.
Titans with
Look
DeAndre
at-
Hopkins.
look at Debo with Purdy. Like
Yeah.
Purdy is not an elite arm talent. Like these guys are winning with. I mean,
Offense.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Dak.
That's what I'm
even
saying.
Dak,
In
like,
today's NFL, it's about
Dak
offense.
is not a super
Yeah,
big arm quarterback either.
I'm not saying it's not offense. I'm saying, but if you look specifically at the Browns, the path that the Redskins could have taken or
Yeah.
could have
It could have been the Bengals. It could have been the Browns. It likely will end up being the Bears, though.
yeah.
Right? I mean, that's where we are. I mean, look at the Vikings. Vikings managed 3 points. Like Dobstradamus or whatever his nickname was. Like that, whatever deal he had seems to have run out, right? But 3 points, and frankly,
It's like the Fitz magic.
the Raiders too. Like all of a sudden, like both those teams can't score. Like I mean, who's gonna call? Like the Vikings maybe could call Joe Flacco, but why? Like if you're the Vikings, you're already in no man's land. You're gonna pay Kirk because you can't afford to have him walk. You don't have another option.
So then, how do you explain the Chargers?
Well, the Chargers are
Bad
interesting
coaching.
because like Flacco on the Chargers,
The Chargers would legitimately be the equivalent of the Commanders, West Coast, right?
They are.
You have the talent, you have the capital on
coaching is
defense.
just trash.
Yeah,
The coaching, the scheme doesn't work, and the defense is underperforming. Frankly,
yeah.
right? Like they've got ballers on that defense. Just
Yeah.
and it goes back like a generation too. Like they've always had a good defense. They just even like past the Junior Seau years, right? I'm talking like
Right.
the last. They had drafted. I'm blanking on the middle linebacker's name now, but they haven't stunk as bad as their record would have you believe. But I mean, the Vikings only managed 3 points and win, whatever. But there was just, like I said, weird games everywhere. Sean Payton and the Broncos continue to win games. Like they're 5-1.
Strong
Right?
defense.
The last ones, right? So they win 24-7. The Bills, we can touch on them if you want, but they went. They beat the Chiefs 2017. I think they're pretenders too. I
know we love to talk about offense, but really look at the scariest teams going into the playoffs. It's all defense.
Niners,
The Niners, all
Cowboys
defense.
play defense. Ravens play defense.
Yeah.
And listen,
Broncos, Rams.
I know you're down on the Dolphins, but the Dolphins can play defense too.
Their defense has 3 pick sixes 3 weeks in a row.
They pooped the bed with the Titans. That they should have won that game, but they clearly take games off. I mean, I think, and that's a coaching thing too. I think it's a sign of a young coach.
I think it was just Tyreek being hurt through the offense off, and they had an injured O-line. They'll get over it, but yeah, strong defense.
I mean, I switched off that game when the
Titans turned it over twice, and the
yeah.
Dolphins were up 14.
and I moved to the Giants Packers game, and
I've been looking.
you said it. You said there's gonna be 2 upsets, and I'm like, what are you talking
There's
about?
100 upsets, but yeah, last night
Last
both
night,
upsets. But look at, I mean, the Giants. You cannot convince me that Dayball's move to go with Tommy, what's his face,
DeVito.
DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets, baby. That's his name now.
You can't convince Cutlets is good one. You can't convince me that he went that route to try to win games. Yet the guy, was he 3-0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
God, I hope they pay him.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Me too. Did you see his agent, by the way? The agent, his agent on the
didn't he kiss his dad or whatever?
The most New Jersey looking guy ever, like with all the bracelets and the fedora and the all black pinstripe suit. Like,
I mean, he probably went to high school with the kid. Who cares?
Somebody said it. He looks like DeVito's, looks like Tommy's dad's bookie that he owes money to, and this was the deal that was reached. Like that, it was a good zing when I saw it. But yeah, I mean, the Commanders are in a great position now from a draft perspective. We just got to make sure that the right people are actually making the picks. But
very scared that we won't. Very scared that we won't.
You guys saw the report this morning that there was someone who has become trusted within the building.
Yep.
Very scary.
Jason Wright, is it Jason Wright?
No, they say it was.
They're saying it might be one of the Martys or maybe Doug Williams.
Can't be. It can't.
No, they said it was Hurney.
Doug Williams still watch football. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Ha
The command. I have that soundbite if you want to hear it. Yeah, I mean, we're going into week 15. We get Saturday football starting this weekend, which is great.
I love it. 3 games.
We got all kinds of stuff. I mean, Broncos Lions, sneaky game that I think actually matters. I don't care so much about the Steelers and the Colts, but Just quickly looking at scores
Steelers Colts is pretty big for AFC wildcard.
It's big, but I don't expect the Steelers to be competitive. But you got the Dolphins and the Bills, 9-4 and 7-6 in the AFC East. You got the AFC West. The Chiefs are out in front, but I think the Broncos are going to catch them. I just have a sneaky suspicion that the wheels are fully coming off the next couple of weeks for the Chiefs, and they're going to stumble into the playoffs. They'll still make the playoffs. The AFC North is wild. 10-3, 8-5, 7-6, 7-6. That's Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Bengals. I'm pretty sure the Steelers, in my opinion, are the worst. The Bengals and the Browns, I mean, they both don't look bad, and the Ravens look really good. And then in the South, the Jaguars and the Colts, the Texans, all above 500. The Jaguars, I think they're the best of that bunch. The Texans are probably too young, losing Tank Dell, losing CJ. Like, it'll be interesting to see what they do down the stretch, or if they just decide to rest people and say, hey, we had a good run, let's get ready for next year. But I expect the Jaguars to make the playoffs and to host a game and to win a game, possibly against the Browns, but it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And then switching over, I mean, the Eagles, like I mentioned, they went from first round bye to fifth, currently tied now with the Cowboys 10-3.
Eagles suck.
Cowboys are on a 5-game heater. I mean, the Cowboys look really good.
Talk to me about the Commanders winning 4 in a row and getting the wild card seed.
Well, Commanders, they could. I mean, they would require some significant help from elsewhere.
We're getting curb stomped by the Rams. Aaron Donald is going to sack Howell 7.5 times.
Maybe 7.5 is a big number, but
7.5 sacks.
49ers are 10-3. They could easily. I think they're going to go 2-1. I think they're going to be. The 49ers should end up in the top.
They'll have the 1 seed.
They should, unless they falter and the Cowboys keep winning. Then we'll see.
Cowboys are going to do what the Cowboys do, which is going to be fall apart.
Yeah,
they absolutely shouldn't.
And the NFC South has a 3-way tie for first. So
nobody cares about the NFC South.
But they're gonna get to one of those teams is gonna get to host a playoff game.
Yeah, they always get to, and then nothing happens from it.
How do you feel about that? Like I could honestly, I can argue either side of it. Should they be allowed to host? Should you be allowed to host a playoff game as the fourth division winner?
Hey, Commanders hosted a playoff game.
I don't know. I'm asking, should it be allowed? Should it?
I think it should.
Yeah,
and if you're a wild card
like
team that's so great,
almost upset
prove it.
The Bucks.
If you're a wild card team that's so great, prove it. Why didn't you win your division?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I like it.
So well said. Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay. Any final thoughts? We went all around. I did want to talk about the NBA in-season tournament for just 1 second.
Trash.
The only reason people cared, I think, this year, maybe in passing, was because the ratings, nobody watched it. But I think people cared, one, because of the crazy courts, and two, it was the first one, right? And LeBron gets to claim it.
Yeah, nobody's going to care after that.
I don't know how you make people care in like the second time or the fifth time or the 10th time. Like maybe if it's like if you play the in-season tournament like every other year, maybe they would care. If you invite like Mexican teams or Canadian teams, maybe people would care. Like turn it into some like bigger thing, like, or bring the go-go teams up, the NBA like D-League teams up to play in it. I don't know. They got to find a way to spice it up. But LPD, like, I don't think, I understand what they're trying to do. I just don't think anybody cares, because the NBA right now is just, nobody watches the NBA.
Joe, we've discussed this 4 pods in a row, and I don't care anymore. Nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about the NBA.
I watched the middle rounds pretty closely. Like once it was past the group phase, I watched that. But what I thought was weird is, like, why did they pick that Saturday to host the final, right? There was an MLS Cup at the same time. I mean, but who cares about the MLS Cup? Except me. But it was kind of this lull in the middle of like bowl season in college, right? NFL's like really kicking into swing. It would have just made more sense for me if they just did it on Christmas Day. Here's your, because Christmas Day was traditionally an NBA day, right? Until the NFL starts taking
because they don't want to take away from the real marquee games that the NBA does on Christmas Day.
I mean, it's a good point. I just don't know where they go from here. I mean, it's just the NBA is in a very precarious position because they only get one more year of LeBron. What LeBron is doing is, I'm not a LeBron guy, but I don't
Stephen A. Smith fried Zion for being fat facing LeBron.
Yeah.
And how he's 20 years younger.
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, LeBron is just. I
It's
hate admitting it, but yes,
It was a horrible final though. I mean, I don't know how the
but
Pacers
leave
really
that,
got there.
leave that
But
aside. LeBron is averaging. He's in line with his like career averages. He's 25, 26 points, 9 boards,
he's
7
20
assists.
years older than most of the league.
I mean,
It's insane.
I'm a Kobe guy. Kobe's not doing that at 40 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Like he knew better than to try to do that. Frankly, even Jordan Wizards, like he was kind of doing it. He would have like a 50-point outing and then like a 15-point outing. So like what LeBron is doing is really, really impressive. Just as an old guy still playing at this level. And his kid is now playing, college ball. So like his dream of playing with his son it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. And now LeBron's talking a big game. He wants to take a play out of Beckham's book and bring a franchise to Vegas. So I would hope Seattle gets the Sonics back before Vegas gets the Aces or whatever they're going to call them. Probably Aces. That's the WNBA team. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Next week, I'm hoping to get Stevie and Matt the Met in here to talk about if anyone's actually worth. Is anyone worth $70 million a season?
I need Stevie to explain to me what $680 million deferred means.
he doesn't get. He gets paid $2 million a year until 2030 something,
34.
and then he starts getting paid.
And then
But do you
between
guys know how much
34
money he makes in
hold on.
endorsements?
and
Hold on.
between
Like $40 million a year.
He makes $45 million a year in
Yeah.
endorsements.
well, yeah.
All of Asia is buying his stuff. Yes.
I understand that, but I'm saying that's why he
Bobby-
can defer that much money. He
The
makes as much.
the Bobby Bonilla deal with the Mets, which Matt has talked about, like he got us all smart, right? Every May 1st or whatever it is, he gets $1.16 million or whatever it is. Ohtani's going to get $65 million every year, well after he's not playing anymore.
Yeah, they said it's like $1.25 million a week.
Yeah, after he's done
10 years.
playing.
Yeah.
It is, but what it allows the Dodgers to do is be super competitive right now. Like the Dodgers are positioned now to win like 10 of the next 10 potentially, or 10 of the next 12 or whatever it is. But I just want to, like, we can break it all down next week. But
They will win nothing. Mark my word.
No, they'll win.
They'll win nothing.
Is anyone worth $70 million a season? That's the question. Is anyone in any sport worth 70? Like that's more than
Messi.
No, Messi's not. I mean, Messi's not at 70.
No.
70 million is a massive number.
What's Mbappe getting? Didn't he get a massive deal?
He's like 52. Like when you break it out, Ronaldo's around like 48.
You got to do the conversion, right?
You could do it. I mean, he is far and away. Far.
Did I care about the friendly match between Miami Inter and Ronaldo's Dubai team or whatever?
Friendly.
I know.
You should care because it's the last time you probably see the two of them on the same field, or at least in the same building at the same time, because it won't happen again. So yeah, you should.
That's true.
You should kind of care.
Should have watched the MLS Cup. It was actually a good game.
Is
Terrible.
DC United in it?
Of course.
DC United hasn't been good for like 10 years.
They won the
DC
first two cups, 95, 96. City of Champions.
They were the first dominant franchise in the MLS.
Yeah, with Ben Olsen.
And it was 16s.
Was it Ben Olsen? Kobe Jones.
Yep.
No,
Kobe Jones.
Was it Kobe Jones? I think it was Kobe Jones.
Kobe Jones, 13.
Yeah. All right, LP, any final thoughts?
The Wizards lost by 40 something points
They were
again.
losing by 700. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbearable.
Yeah. They should just. I mean, I don't know what you do. How much would they have to pay you to? How much would the Wizards? Here's a good question. FP, how much would the Wizards have to pay you to attend every Wizards home game for the rest of the season and cheer?
I mean, he would still go eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not
They
like
paid you
it's-
$100 a game.
you would have
30
to.
home games.
You'd have to pay me. I'll take $100 a game. You have to provide transportation, a box, food, and a beautiful woman.
Because that's the territory we're in now. Like, I will go, but you're going to do these 5 things for me.
Yes.
And I want my taxes filed on January 1st as well. Like, I want everything done. And I will go and cheer for Jordan Poole and Kuzma in his ridiculous clothes and this terrible team.
I will
horrible.
cheer for Bilal because I think he is a great
Bilal
first
is a
piece
bright
to
spot.
rebuild. Yes.
Here we go back to rebuilding. Our town, we got to come up with a new DTC like
It's
work
always
work
rebuilding.
into it.
That's
Yeah,
our slogan. Always rebuilding.
always under construction, never competitive. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
FP, final thoughts?
Embrace the tank. Jamie Davis IR. We're low-key embracing it. I'm happy.
Anybody picking the Commanders to win this weekend?
They shouldn't.
No, but I mean, it's still NFL any given Sunday. We saw that this week.
Oh,
not with the Commanders.
No.
Not
I
with the
mean, I don't think
Commanders.
so, but
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get one more.
This is
It's going to be
this-
some
this one.
stupid game. They're going to get
They're
one more.
going to mess the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they legitimately have something to play for.
I
Nobody-
mean,
they don't
They
want to
did last year too.
if you're
They
gonna
would beat
mess
them.
up your draft order because you upset the Cowboys the last game of the year and ruin their playoff seeding, I'll take that.
I'd be
Yes.
okay with it.
I'll be okay with that too.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. Knock them out of first into
Yeah.
fifth.
That would be hilarious.
We're still rivals. I would take that. That
Mhm.
would be the one game I'd want to win.
But also, if it helps the Eagles, I hate the Eagles more than the Cowboys now. So
Well, it can't help the Eagles because the 49ers have first place. Like it hurts both teams.
no, but the Eagles would get what second seed?
You would end up. They would be fit. So one of those, the Cowboys. One of the Cowboys or
If
the Eagles.
the
One of them.
Cowboys falter,
Yes, they could.
I
Depending
think
on how, they could. The worst they would be second and win the division, finish second overall.
right?
But one of the Eagles or one of those teams is going to end up in fifth.
Correct.
Right. So if it works out that way, it's a win-win for us.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Thank you for making time. The show is Defeating the Curse. We will be back next week. The streak is alive. The streak as well. Thank you for hanging out with us. This was a fat one today, well over an hour. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Just search Defeating the Curse on any social media platform and wherever you get your podcasts, and our faces and our voices will be streamed right into your phone or into your computer. Thank you for hanging out with us. Until next week, we're out.